Shalom, shalom. Today will be Isaiah 6 through 10. In the year that sovereign Uzziah died, I saw Yahuwah sitting on a throne high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the hall. Above it stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one cried to another and said, Set apart, set apart, set apart is Yahuwah of hosts. All the earth is filled with his esteem. And the posts of the door were shaken by the voice of him who cried out, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, Woe to me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the sovereign, Yahuwah of hosts. And one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a live coal which he had taken with the tongs from the slaughter place. And he touched my mouth with it, and said, See, this has touched your lips. Your crookedness is taken away, and your sin is covered. And I heard the voice of Yahuwah saying, Whom do I send? And who would go for us? And I said, Here I am. Send me. And he said, Go, and you shall say to this people, Hearing you hear, but do not understand, and seeing you see, but do not know. Make the heart of this people fat, and their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and shall turn and be healed. Then I said, Yahuwah, until when? And he answered, Until the cities are laid waste, and without inhabitant, and the houses are without a man, and the land is laid waste to ruin. And Yahuwah has removed men far away, and the forsaken places be many in the midst of the land. But still there is a 10th part in it, and it shall be again be for a burning, like a terebinth tree, and like an oak, whose stump remains when it is cut down. The set apart seed is in its stump. Something's going to rise out of there. And it came to be in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, sovereign of Judah, that Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remulah, sovereign of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to fight against it, but could not prevail against it. And it was reported to the house of David, saying, Aram has set up camp in Ephraim, and his heart and the heart of his people were moved, as the trees of the forest are moved with the wind. And Yahuwah said to Isaiah, Go out now to meet Ahaz, you and Seir Yashub, your son, at the end of the channel of the upper pool, on the highway of the launderer's field, and say to him, Take heed and be calm. Do not fear or be faint-hearted, for those 2 stubs of smoking firebrands, for the fierce displeasure of Retzin and Aram, the son of Remaliah. Because Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah have plotted evil against you, saying, Let us go up against Judah, and tear it apart, and break it open for ourselves, and set a sovereign over them, the son of Tabiel. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, It is not going to stand, nor shall it take place. For the head of Aram in Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Retzin. For the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Retzin. And with 65 years, Ephraim is to be broken as a people, within 65 years. And the head of Ephraim is Shomeron, and the head of Shomeron is the son of Remaliah. If you do not believe, you are not steadfast. And Yahuwah spoke again to Ahaz, saying, Ask a sign for yourself from Yahuwah your Elohim. Make deep the request, or make it high. But Ahaz said, I do not ask nor try Yahuwah. And he said, Hear now, O house of David. Is it not enough that you weary my Elohim also? I've got a little thing here in pencil, so I'm just going to underline it for funsies. Therefore, Yahuwah himself gives you a sign. Look, the Alma conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. An Alma, a virgin or a young woman. See also explanatory note, maiden. And then Emmanuel means El with us, or God with us. He eats curds and honey when he knows to refuse evil and choose the good. For before the child knows to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that you dread is to be forsaken by both her sovereigns. Yahweh brings on you and your people and your father's house days that have not come since the day that Ephraim turned away from Judah, the sovereign of Ashur. And it shall be in that day that Yahweh whistles from the fly that is in the farthest part of the rivers of Mitzrayim, and for the bee that is in the land of Ashur. And they shall come, and all of them shall rest in the steep ravines, and in the clefts of the rocks, and on the weeds, and in the tall pastures. In that day Yahweh shall shave with a razor, hired beyond the river, with the sovereign of Ashur, the head of the hair of the legs, and also remove the beard. And it shall be in that day that a man keeps alive a young cow and 2 sheep, and it shall be that he shall eat curds because of the plenty milk he gets, for everyone left in the land shall eat curds. And it shall be in that day, every place where there was 1,000 vines worth 1,000 shekels of silver, let it be for thorn bushes and weeds. With arrows and bows one shall go there, because all the land shall be thorn bushes and weeds. And all the hills which are tilled with the hoe, you do not go for fear of thorn bushes and weeds, but it shall be for sending oxen to, and a place for sheep to roam. And Yahweh said to me, take a large tablet, and write on it with a man's pen concerning Maher Shalal Hash-Baz. And let me take reliable witness to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah, son of Yeberechiah. And I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. And Yahweh said to me, call his name Maher Shalal Hash-Baz. For before the child knows to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Shomeron is taken away before the sovereign of Ashur. I wish I spoke Hebrew. I'm sure that means his name means something. When God's pretty funny with stuff like that. Anyway, and Yahweh spoke to me again, saying, inasmuch as these people refuse the waters of Shiloah that flows softly, and rejoice in Retzin and Remaliah's son, now therefore see, Yahweh brings up over them the waters of the river, strong and mighty, the sovereign of Ashur and all his esteem, and he shall come up over all his channels and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Judah, he shall overflow and pass over, reaching up to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel. Be shattered, O you people, and be broken in pieces. Give ear, all you from the far places of the earth. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. Take counsel, and it comes to naught. Speak a word, and it does not stand. For El is with us. For Yahweh spoke thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, do not say a conspiracy concerning all that this people call a conspiracy, nor be afraid of their threats, nor be troubled. Yahweh of hosts, him you shall set apart. Let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a set apart place, but a stone of stumbling, and a rock that makes for falling to both the houses of Israel, as a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall, and be broken, and snared, and taken. Bind up the witness, seal the Torah among my taught ones. And I shall wait on Yahweh, who conceals his face from the house of Jacob, and I shall look for him. Look, I and the children whom Yahuwah has given me, for signs and wonders in Israel from Yahuwah of hosts, who dwells in Mount Zion. And when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter, should not a people seek their Elohim? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? To the Torah and to the witness. If they do not speak according to this word, it is because they have no daybreak or light. They have no light. And they shall pass through it hard, pressed, and hungry. And it shall be, when they are hungry, that they shall be wroth, and curse the sovereign and their Elohim, looking upward. And they shall look to the earth and see distress and darkness, gloom of hard times, and be driven into thick darkness. But there is no gloom upon her who is distressed, as when at first he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward more heavily oppressed her by the way of the sea, beyond the Jordan, and Galilee and Galil of the nations. The people who were walking in darkness have seen a great light. Upon those who dwelt in the land of the shadows of death, a light has shone. You shall increase the nation. You shall make its joy great. They shall rejoice before you. I just realized this. This you is capitalized. I'm pretty sure we can kind of take a guess here on who this is talking about, and I'll give you a hint. It's Emmanuel. For you shall break the yoke of his burden and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every boot of one trampling in tumult, and coat rolled in blood, shall be used for burning and fuel of fire. For a child is born unto us, a son is given unto us, and the rule on his shoulder, and his name is called Wonder, Counselor, Strong El, Father of Continuity, Prince of Peace. What is continuity? What is continuity? Of the increase of his rule and peace there is no end, upon the throne of David and over his reign. It's giving reference to other passages. And over his reign, to establish it and sustain it with right ruling and with righteousness from now on, even forever. The ardor of Yahuwah of hosts does this. Yahuwah said a word against Jacob, and it has fallen on Israel. And the people shall know, all of them, Ephraim and the inhabitants of Shomeron, who say in pride and greatness of heart, the bricks have fallen down, but we rebuild with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we replace them with cedars. And Yahuwah set up the adversaries of Retzin against him, and shall stir up his enemies. The Arameans before, and the Philistines behind, and they devour Israel with an open mouth. With all his displeasure has not turned back. With all this, his displeasure has not turned back, and his hand is still stretched out. And the people have not turned back to him who strikes them, nor have they sought Yahuwah of hosts. And Yahuwah cuts off head and tail from Israel, palm branch and reed in one day. Elder and highly respected, he is the head. The prophet who teaches falsehood, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people lead them astray, and those who are guided by them are swallowed up. Therefore Yahuwah does not rejoice over their young men, and has no compassion over their fatherless and widows. For everyone is defiled and evil, and every mouth speaks foolishness. With all this, his displeasure has not turned back, and his hand is still stretched out. He's having an aneurysm again. Oh, come here. Oh, I'm a little short there. My fault, everybody. Okay. 18. For wrongness burns as the fire. It consumes thorn bushes and weeds, and sets the bushes of the forest ablaze, and they roll up like rising smoke. The land shall be burned up by the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and the people be as fuel for the fire. A man shall not spare his brother, and cut down on the right hand, but shall be hungry, and he devours on the left hand, but shall not be satisfied, each one devouring the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh, Ephraim, and Ephraim, Manasseh, together they are against Judah. With all this, his displeasure has not turned back, and his hand is still stretched out. Woe to those making unrighteous inscriptions, and writers who have prescribed toil, to keep the needy back from right ruling, and to take what is right from the poor of my people, that widows become their prey, and orphans their plunder. What shall you do in the day of visitation, and in the ruin which comes from afar? To whom would you run for help, and where would you leave your wealth? Without me they shall bow down among their prisoners. Without me they shall bow down among the prisoners, and fall among the killed. With all this his displeasure has not turned back, and his hand is still stretched out. Woe to Ashur, the rod of my displeasure, and the staff in whose hand is my displeasure. Against the defiled nation I send them, and against the people of my wrath I command him to seize the spoil, to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mud of the streets. But he does not intend so, nor does his heart think so, for it is in his heart to destroy and cut off not a few nations. For he says, Are not my princes sovereigns? Is not Calno like Carchemish? Is not Hamath like Arpad? Is not Shomeron like Damask? As my hand has found the reins of the idols, whose carved images excelled those of Jerusalem and Shomeron, as I have done to Shomeron and her idols, goodness gracious, as I have done to Shomeron and her idols, do I not also do to Jerusalem and her idols? And it shall be, when Yahweh has performed all his work on Mount Sion and on Jerusalem, that I shall punish the fruit of the greatness of the heart of the sovereign of Ashur, and the boasting of his haughty looks. For he has said, By the power of my hand I have done it, and by my wisdom, for I have been clever, and I removed the boundaries of the people, and have robbed their treasuries, and I put down the inhabitants like a strong one. And my hand finds the riches of the people like a nest, and I have gathered all the earth like forsaken eggs are gathered. And there was no one who moved a wing, nor opened a mouth with even a peep. Would the axe boast itself over him who chops with it, or the saw exalt itself over him who saws with it? As a rod waving those who lift it up, as a staff lifting up that which is not wood. Therefore the Master, Yahweh of hosts, sends leanness among his fat ones, and under his esteem he kindles a burning like the burning of a fire. And the light of Israel shall be for a fire, and his set apart one for a flame. And it shall burn and devour his weeds and his thorn bushes in one day, and consume the esteem of his forest, of his fertile field, both life and flesh. All they shall be as when a sick man wastes away. And the remaining trees of his forest shall be so few in number that a child records them. And in that day it shall be that the remnant of Israel and those who have escaped of the house of Jacob never leaned upon him who struck them, but shall lean upon Yahweh, the set apart one of Israel, in truth. I don't know, I just want to read that again. And in that day it shall be that the remnant of Israel and those who have escaped of the house of Jacob never again lean upon him who struck them, but shall lean upon Yahweh, the set apart one of Israel, in truth. A remnant shall return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty El. For though your people, O Israel, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. A decisive end, overflowing with righteousness. For the Master Yahweh of hosts is making a complete end, as decided in the midst of all the earth. Therefore thus said the Master Yahweh of hosts, my people who dwell in Sion, do not be afraid of Ashur, who struck you with a rod and lifts up his head. Who struck you with a rod and lifts up his staff against you in the way of Mitzrayim. For yet a little while, and the displeasure shall be completed, and my displeasure be their destruction. And Yahweh of hosts stirs up a lash for him and the smiting of Midian at the rock of Oreb. And his rod was on the sea, so shall he lift up in the way of Mitzrayim. And in that day it shall be that his burden is removed from the shoulder, and his yoke from your neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing oil. He has come upon Aath as he passed Migron, and at Michmash he stored his supplies. They have gone through the pass. They have taken up lodging at Geba. Ramah is afraid. Geba of Saul has fled. Lift up your voice, O daughter of Galim. Listen, Laisha, O poor Anathoth. Anathoth. Madmenah has fled. The inhabitants of Gebim sought refuge. Yet he remains at Nob that day. He shakes his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Sion, the hill of Jerusalem. Look, the master of Yahweh of hosts is polishing off a branch with an awesome crash. Look, the master Yahweh of hosts is lopping off a branch with an awesome crash, and the tall ones are cut down, and the lofty ones are laid low. And he shall cut down the thickets of the forest with iron, and Lebanon shall fall as a mighty one. Again, I just want to keep reading, but we just do 5. So continually, multiple. It said it multiple times, so it's just, I guess it's fresh, so to speak. But where is it? Still his hand. I don't know. I'm looking for where it says still his hand is outstretched. Even though we are so far messed up, he's still like, hey, please, just listen. Just do what I told you to do, man. Just do the things. Just do the things. And with Emmanuel, he's going to give us, all of us, the opportunity. I love you guys. May Yahweh bless you and guard you. May Yahweh make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. Thus they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall bless them. Shalom, shalom.